The Zodiac Killer, Unveiling America's Most Elusive Serial Killer. Imagine a figure shrouded in mystery, whose identity has eluded law enforcement for over half a century. A name that invokes intrigue, fear, and endless speculation, the Zodiac Killer. Operating in the shadows of Northern California during the tumultuous late 1960s and early 1970s, this enigmatic individual not only committed heinous crimes, but also taunted police and media with cryptic letters and ciphers. Today, we delve deep into the chilling case that has gripped America's psyche, exploring the murders, the cryptic communications, and the countless theories surrounding one of the most infamous unsolved cases in criminal history. From terrified communities to dedicated investigators, the Zodiac Killer's reign of terror left an indelible mark on society, influencing everything from pop culture to investigative techniques. Join us as we uncover the details of this perplexing case, examining each crime, the subsequent investigations, and the enduring legacy that continues to fascinate and haunt us to this very day. Background of the Zodiac Killer. The late 1960s was a period of significant social upheaval in the United States. Amidst the backdrop of the Vietnam War protests, the civil rights movement, and the counterculture revolution, Northern California was a hotbed of change and unrest. It was in this setting that the Zodiac Killer emerged, preying upon young couples in secluded areas. The region, known for its scenic beauty and laid-back lifestyle, was shaken by a series of brutal attacks that struck without warning or apparent motive. The killer's activity spanned from December 1968 to October 1969, though he claimed responsibility for more crimes. His ability to navigate the area undetected suggested a familiarity with the terrain and communities. The random nature of the attacks, combined with the cryptic messages sent to the press, created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Residents began to question the safety of their neighborhoods, and the idyllic image of Northern California was forever altered. This was a time before modern forensic technology, no DNA profiling or extensive surveillance systems to aid investigators. Law enforcement faced the daunting task of tracking a cunning adversary who seemed to be always one step ahead, leaving them perplexed and the public on edge. Lake Herman Road murders. On the night of December 20th, 1968, high school students David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, embarked on their first date, driving to Lake Herman Road near Benicia, California. Their lifeless bodies were discovered beside their car. David had been shot in the head at close range, and Betty Lou was found several feet away, shot 5 times in the back as she fled. The absence of witnesses and an apparent motive left police baffled, marking the beginning of a terrifying mystery. Blue Rock Springs attack. Approximately 6 months later, on July 4th, 1969, another couple was attacked at Blue Rock Springs Park near Vallejo. Darlene Farron, 22, and Mike Mageau, 19, were sitting in their car when a man approached and opened fire without warning. Darlene was killed, but Mike survived despite sustaining serious injuries. He described the assailant as a white male in his late 20s to early 30s, providing the first potential lead in the case. Lake Berryessa attack. On September 27, 1969, college students Brian Hartnell, 20, and Cecilia Shepard, 22, were picnicking at Lake Berryessa when a man wearing a hooded costume emblazoned with a white cross-circle symbol approached them. Claiming to be an escaped convict, he tied them up before brutally stabbing them. Brian survived the attack, but Cecilia passed away 2 days later. The killer left a message on their car door with dates of previous attacks and his symbol, demonstrating a chilling level of premeditation. Murder of Paul Stein. On October 11, 1969, the Zodiac shifted tactics. Paul Stein, a 29-year-old taxi driver, was shot and killed in San Francisco's Presidio Heights. Witnesses saw the suspect wipe down the cab before walking away calmly. This bold urban murder differed from his previous rural attacks and provided police with eyewitness accounts and a composite sketch, yet the killer remained elusive. Possible additional victims. Authorities have speculated about other crimes potentially linked to the Zodiac. Cases like the 1963 murders of Robert Domingos and Linda Edwards and the 1966 murder of Cherry Joe Bates bear similarities to his known attacks. However, definitive connections have never been established, leaving open questions about the true extent of his crimes. The first letters in Cipher. On August 1st, 1969, three newspapers received letters from someone claiming responsibility for the recent attacks. Each contained one-third of a 408-symbol cryptogram, which he demanded be published on their front pages, threatening more violence if they refused. The letters began ominously. "Dear editor, this is the murderer of the two teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman." The cryptogram was eventually solved by high school teacher Donald Hardin and his wife Betty. It revealed a disturbing message about his enjoyment of killing and collecting slaves for the afterlife, but frustratingly, it lacked any clues to his identity. Unsolved 340-character cipher. On November 8, 1969, the Zodiac sent a new, more complex cipher known as the 340-character cipher. Despite extensive efforts, it remained unsolved for over 5 decades. In December 2020, an international team claimed to have cracked it, revealing a message that continued his taunts but offered no useful information about his identity. The decoding was acknowledged by the FBI, but the case remained open and unresolved. Subsequent correspondence. The Zodiac continued to send letters, often containing details only the killer would know, solidifying their authenticity. He mocked law enforcement, threatened schoolchildren, and included diagrams of bombs and maps marked with his crossed circle symbol. One letter even included a piece of Paul Stein's bloodied shirt. His communications maintained a taunting tone, manipulating the media to instill fear and assert control. Each letter heightened public anxiety and perplexed investigators, who grappled with understanding his motives and anticipating his next move. Law enforcement efforts. The investigation spanned multiple jurisdictions, including local police and the FBI. Communication challenges and lack of centralized coordination hindered progress. Detectives pursued thousands of leads, but limitations in forensic technology made gathering concrete evidence difficult. The killer's ability to evade capture despite the considerable resources devoted to the case underscored the complexities faced by law enforcement. Arthur Leigh Allen. Arthur Leigh Allen emerged as the most prominent suspect. A Vallejo resident with a checkered past, Allen was first interviewed in 1969 after suspicious comments he made were reported. Circumstantial evidence included his possession of a Zodiac brand watch with the crossed circle symbol, proximity to crime scenes, and alleged statements about killing. However, handwriting analysis and fingerprints did not match, and in 2002, DNA testing from envelopes failed to link him to the crimes. Allen passed away in 1992 without being charged, leaving lingering doubts about his involvement. Other notable suspects. Other suspects included Richard Gaikowski, a newspaper editor with anti-police sentiments, Lawrence Kane, with a criminal record and knowledge of ciphers, and Rick Marshall, a projectionist with an interest in cryptography. Each had aspects that aligned with the Zodiac's profile, but none could be definitively connected to the crimes. Earl Van Best Jr. was proposed by his son, Gary Stewart, who cited handwriting similarities and personal history. Despite these theories, lack of conclusive evidence kept the case open and the true identity of the Zodiac unknown. Forensic evidence and DNA. Advancements in forensic science provided new avenues for investigation. Partial fingerprints and handwriting analysis were inconclusive. Attempts to extract DNA from the Zodiac's letters yielded partial profiles, but were insufficient for identification. Modern techniques like genetic genealogy offer hope, mirroring successes in other cold cases, but so far have not yielded a breakthrough. Media's role. The media was both a tool and a target for the Zodiac. Newspapers grappled with the decision to publish his letters and ciphers, balancing public interest with the risk of encouraging the killer. By providing him a platform, they inadvertently became part of his game, but they also facilitated public assistance in decoding messages and identifying suspects. Impact on community. The Zodiac's actions instilled widespread fear. Communities increased security measures, and behaviors changed as people avoided secluded areas. The threat to attack school buses particularly terrified parents. The pervasive anxiety affected daily life and strained public trust in law enforcement's ability to protect them, leaving a lasting impact on the community's sense of safety. Cultural impact and legacy. The Zodiac Killer has left a significant mark on popular culture. His crimes have inspired films like Zodiac, books, and documentaries that explore the case's intricacies. The mystery surrounding his identity and his cryptic communications have influenced fictional portrayals of serial killers. The case also impacted law enforcement practices, highlighting the need for improved interagency cooperation and advancements in profiling techniques. The Zodiac's manipulation of media and public fear continues to be studied in criminal psychology, emphasizing the complex relationship between offenders and society. Recent developments and theories. New theories and claims continue to surface. In 2021, a group called the Case Breakers identified Gary Francis Poste as the Zodiac, citing forensic evidence and photographs. Law enforcement has not confirmed this claim, and skepticism remains. Advancements in genetic genealogy offer renewed hope. Techniques that solved cases like the Golden State Killer are being applied to the Zodiac's DNA evidence. Online communities of amateur sleuths tirelessly analyze data, keeping the case alive in the public consciousness. While definitive answers remain elusive, the pursuit of truth persists. As we reflect on the Zodiac Killer's reign of terror, we remember the victims and the profound impact on their families and communities. The quest to unveil his identity continues to captivate and motivate both professionals and the public. Perhaps one day, advances in technology and unwavering determination will finally bring closure to this haunting chapter of American history, and the victims will receive the justice they so deserve.